Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Deal with D and J. I'm your host, Jake Perel. Alongside me is the delightful DJ McCatherine. DJ, how are we?
I'm doing pretty good, except for the fact that you tried to piss me off before we just got on here
I didn't do
with your
anything.
stupid logic or your out of date logic.
It's completely valid.
It's not completely valid, but
It's pretty
otherwise we're
valid.
doing good. Look at Donovan Mitchell, man. That nigga
It's
defense is
valid,
crazy,
brother.
though.
Don't worry about it.
Look at Donovan Mitchell, man. So inspirational. But we're doing good. How was your time with? Good to have you back, by the way. How was time with the fam?
It was good. It was good. It was good to see everyone, but you know, when you see family, at some point you wanna leave. It was good. It was long. Graduations in a row, but I'm glad the week is over. Glad it was fun. I'm glad that glad I got to spend it with everyone. So, but without further ado here, DJ, let's dive in to honestly probably the most anticipated conference finals matchup I would say of the last 5 years in the NBA. Last night, i.e. we're recording this on Tuesday, so we'll have a pick your own adventure for game 2, but Spurs Thunder kicked off in an incredible way last night. Cinematic, some may even say.
Yeah.
Wembanyama, not even vintage, still in the barrel, fermenting, getting stronger, ages by time. Wemby, 41 points, 24 rebounds in a double overtime victory against the Thunder. The Thunder bailed out mightily by Alex Caruso's ability to hit open threes. Let's start with, obviously, we'll talk about the matchup and where we see things are going, but let's break down that game 1, DJ, where it really was the Thunder. I think it's just like the Thunder are so caught up in trying to get these calls and trying to play the way they've played all year. And the Spurs are like, we're going to match your physicality. We're going to play through the guck and we're going to muck it up. But like, you're not going to out muck it up. And I think the Thunder, I think the best way to describe how they play and how they act is no hyperbole, just like some bitch boys. Like Alex Caruso pushed the camera out of the huddle in the middle of overtime.
Towards the end of that game. Yeah.
Towards the end of that game, but like in the game against the Lakers, they're chuckling up. They want the camera on them. Like Alex Caruso used to be such a likable guy, and now he's on the Thunder and is like just a piece of shit. Like, I don't cuss much on this show, but like that's what it is with the Thunder. They want the calls, they want it to go their way. They're young and they're like very much like confident in their abilities, and it's the mindset of like, if you don't like it, beat us. And and the Spurs said, come meet us in the paint, brother.
Yeah, no, I think the matchup is very similar. Like, Wembanyama obviously stands out on this Spurs team, but every one of these players on this Spurs team can give you buckets, just like anybody on this OKC team can give you buckets. And while you may have Shea with, kind of Chet playing that background role, you have Wembanyama matched up with somebody like Castle, like Stephon Castle in the background, though he didn't perform his best in this game. You also have Keldon Johnson, who could put up points and did very well, but just the matchup in general is very good. And I didn't even mention Dylan Harper, who added 24 points in that matchup. But it's the OKC not being likable, and I think we're seeing a true color type. I think the Lakers, right? The Lakers, there wasn't a version of this Lakers team that I really think could have come through this series. You would have had to have prime LeBron and Luka come back into that series.
Doncic would have stole a game. One game.
Yeah, it would have made it closer, but it wouldn't have made a difference. And the matchup in this series is just so good. And let me tell you, shout out Alex Caruso. We obviously see the stat line of 8 of 14, and I know you look at Victor Wembanyama and you see 41 points and you're like, what the hell did he do on defense? But Alex Caruso is a menace on defense, an absolute menace.
They're both menacing on defense. Like, it's not just Caruso.
But you're asking a Caruso who's short to guard a 7'5" Victor Wembanyama. What's his height? What's Alex Caruso's height? Let me just do a little click here. Heights is very easy. 6'5". He's a whole foot taller than him, and then you put the hands up, he's probably another 1.5 feet, if not 2 feet taller than him. And you have that man guarding to the Victor Wembanyama, enforced a lot. forced a lot. And then the turnovers for the Spurs is really what killed them, especially Castle. Castle,
Yeah.
but again, it's that menacing defense of Caruso that allows it to happen.
I think it's just like when you look at OKC, it's just like the bread and butter is the defense, get turnovers, push it in transition. And if it's not there on the layup, they have backup help coming, and it's a quick three, and like it's just push. When they have to get set up, is where I think they struggle. I think they did some really smart things by trying to pull Wemby away from the basket, and SGA having some easy opportunities, Williams having some opportunities. Same with like AJ, Kaysen, Caruso. Like we can talk on and on. I think the biggest thing for me was just the way the Spurs hanged in here, and it's not even just the way they like. They kind of blow the game in the latter half of that fourth quarter. Right? Mm-hmm. They tie it up, go to overtime. Then, first overtime happens. KC, goes on a little bit of a run, and it looked like the Spurs just had some bad sets and bad possessions. And then just like the gall on Wembanyama to just pull up a 30-footer. It's like
crazy.
29 seconds left, just rips it.
It was a horrible shot.
Terrible shot. Terrible. With that much time in the shot clock, too. Like, that's a guy, like...
That was only his second three of the game, Jacob.
That was his only
second three taken in the game.
I think it goes to show, like, Wemby is in the mindset and is going to reach one of the best players to ever play this game. Mm-hmm. But the mindset early on would just be like, I'm the best guy on this court. Like, screw it. I'm letting this thing rip. And he let it to rip. And it almost like deflated OKC because they were like, what more? I said it on the TikTok last night. It was just two heavyweight fights. It's like watching Rocky and Creed go at each other, right? Mm-hmm. And Creed, wins the first fight but everyone's saying like, you didn't win because like he never landed the knockout blow. That's what this felt like, but the Spurs landed a big punch in game one to steal this game. I do think the fans of OKC and the bitching and moaning to the refs, I think they got to chill. Like, AJ Mitchell clearly was fouling people. I think the one Jalen Williams and the one I've been seeing a lot of discourse on, was they were like, that's goaltending. He got it pinned on the glass, got it packed, buddy. The Spurs, like, rim presence, I think is some of the best I've seen in a long time. Like they only had 7 blocks, but their blocks felt vicious, well-timed. Right. But also give credit to Chet Holmgren getting a block on Wemby towards the end of, the end of the first overtime to get it to the second, I think.
Something like that.
Or fourth quarter. Either way, big moments. I'm also, the fact that like the Spurs had the number 2 overall pick, like a year ago? And they got Dylan Harper to this team that was already going to be really good. Dylan Harper is a bona fide star. Yeah. Like, I think they were probably banking on Castle and Wemby being the 1-2, but it's clearly Harper and Wemby. Like, Harper can go and create his own shots, get downhill. Like, he had a possession where he got downhill and I think dunked it. No, that was Castle. But, like, he went downhill and went up through 2 Thunder players on a layup. And then Castle, same way, went downhill, went on SGA and yammed it on him. Like, and I also think they're so smart. Like, it's one of those things that's like, yeah, you have Victor Wembanyama, who nobody can guard and nobody can out-jump him. Like, did you see the alley-oop play? Like, the ball is nearly at the top of the basket. And Wemby just catches it with ease, slams it.
Yeah.
I do think Wemby's a little bit at times like a little floppity-flop, a little too flimsy. But overall, this Spurs-Thunder matchup in Game 1 lived up to the hype. I hope the series lives up to the hype. But my goodness, what a Game 1 for Spurs Thunder.
Yeah, no, I think both fan bases just need to calm down. Like, obviously Wemby had a fantastic game, right? The key for Oklahoma is hit your shots. Hit your open 3-point. The Spurs had the paint on lock, right? That was the game plan. Make OKC shoot the ball. You know how what's really hard to do is when the other team's hitting all their 3-point shots. So if they can make that, I mean, I'm going to call it an easy correction because I actually believe that it is. For these professionals, hitting the three ball should be part of their normal game. And then stop trying to draw the foul. The game is physical enough where if you're doing your natural motion, you're going to get fouled. Stop flopping. You don't need it. The players on OKC, especially somebody like Shea, is so good. He does not need to flop all the time and try to draw the foul. He didn't have the best game and was locked up on a couple of different scenarios. And what a play by Mitchell.
You just got to get clean shots. I think, and I said this on the TikTok where I saw a lot of and it mainly was Chet. So I would love to see a little bit more confidence from Chet Holmgren, which Wembanyama being has this one-sided beef with Chet Holmgren is kind of fantastic. But there's old-fashioned hate. But it was they swung the ball around, they dribble penetrate, they get down deep, dish it. And I get what the mindset is of the guys come to you want to pump fake and slide step, but Holmgren didn't do that well. He had 3 or 4 chances where I want him to catch, and I just want you to go straight up with it. Be ready to go. Catch, go up, drain. That's what I would much rather that's what that's what J-Dub was doing, and I like that J-Dub was doing it because it did work out. I did not like that Chet would be this it was the second of hesitation that is just not there for Chet right now that I don't think is going to benefit long term.
Yeah, no, the corrections are easy, and I wanted to add for an angle for the Spurs. I mean, you just got to not turn over the ball. Right?
Turnovers were bad, man. They had if I'm pulling it up, they had 21 turnovers as a team to OKC's 14.
Yeah, it's not great at the moment for the Spurs in that realm, but that's an easy way to turn it around, right? You want this game not to be as close, clean up the turnovers, and that's maybe easier said than done because this OKC team is very defensively sound. They move quick. They're lengthy. And is arguably the only team in the league that can have somebody that could give Wemby some issues, right? Or at least left in this playoff. And they just got to clean some things up. But it's possible. So, give me 1 second. My brother just called me. Yo, what's up? I'm on a podcast. You all right? All right. I'll call you after. Bye-bye. Make sure.
Yeah, it just goes back down to I think this game should go 7. The series should go 7. I would love it to go 7. It'd be phenomenal if it goes 7 as a basketball fan. There's a lot of people who are a lot of the casuals are showing up. Buddy, there's nothing casual about watching the NBA. You're either all in or you're not. And it's one of those things of you kind of in the West specifically, you kind of just were I didn't care about the first 2 rounds. Denver for Minnesota was nice. That was a nice little treat. But
yeah.
I wanted this series in the conference finals, and I'm very glad we have it. And it's living up to the hype. Game 2, I think we'll swing back to OKC. I think they're going to make those corrections you talk about. I still think Wemby's going to have his impact, but I think they're going to need somebody. I think they need to cut down on the turnovers. I think they also just I think Lady Luck was on their side in game 1. I think they need I think the ball bounces. 30-foot 3-point shot DJ with 29 seconds left after not taking another one all game. There's some little bit of some Lady Luck at times. But
they call it Lady Luck, they call it Lady Skill. That's
could.
my MVP right there.
You could. I agree. Listen, the SGA won MVP, so we could touch upon that. I think it's so dumb that they don't wait until after the season to announce it. They announce it sporadically, and it's oh, here's this big award presentation for no reason. I also hate the nonchalantness of the MVP award. Now, at least with SGA being a back-to-back winner now, it's brother, KD busted out in tears, crying that he won this award. They used to mean
they were able to have a whole speech, but now they're doing it before game 1 of your Eastern Conference Finals or your Western Conference Finals. What are we doing?
I think they need to change that portion, but I didn't agree with SGA being MVP. I don't know how you could watch him all season and not think that Victor Wembanyama was the best player on the court at all times. And even Jokic, you can make an argument for Jokic as well. But
I think Jokic adds probably the most value to his team. over any of
Yeah.
the other two. I think the Spurs and OKC would both be very good without their respective stars.
I don't know
But
if San
I
Antonio would be
know,
as good without Wemby because of the defensiveness.
think of just a replacement. You don't have to just imagine that he's vanished, right? Not thin air, but somebody else was taking that spot.
I don't know, man. It's tough. 7'4" alien, brother. It's
Yeah,
hard to
I get
replace.
it. I get it.
Versus SGA, I agree with you. You could replace him with anyone on OKC with those minutes, and they'd be just fine. So, well, let's touch upon first off, who do you have in this series? I have the Spurs winning it all, so I have the Spurs moving on. So
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take the Spurs too, but I don't think it goes 7. I think the Spurs could get it in 6, especially after taking one away in OKC. But I think the series is going to be great. I think the adjustments, like you said, will be made. But I think Wembanyama is too much, and I think having to play him, if you're not getting him with foul calls or getting Wemby into foul trouble, he stays on the court. And as long as he's on the court, he's an issue that you have to worry about. Until somebody's able to find a way to take him out of the game, I don't think that there's a defense that can stop him. So I'm gonna take OKC, or excuse me, the Spurs, San Antonio in.
let's jump over to the Eastern Conference Finals. Cleveland put belt to ass on Detroit in that game 7, which Detroit, honestly, I still think we're way ahead of schedule. But obviously,
For sure.
But when you're the 1 seed, the goal is to go to at least the conference finals as the 1 seed. But Cleveland, again, first time in the Eastern Conference Finals without LeBron. So that's a long 20-year history of not being in the Eastern Conference Finals without one of the best players in all of the NBA. I do think the Knicks, being off for a bunch of time, I don't think is good for them. I think they're a team that was very rhythmic and they need to stay going here, and we're both kind of peeking at our TVs watching this game. It's just looking like Cleveland is just more fresh than New York at the moment. Still a lot of time left. It's only the middle of the third. But DJ, I was getting you fired up, buddy, because you were like, this team is depth. Everyone's underrating us. Everyone's writing us off. Obviously, I think that's part of the media. I think part of the media is doing that. All right, I think this series is going to be a lot closer than people think. Stephen A. Smith is over here talking about Knicks in 5, and I'm like, I don't think we're watching the same Cavs team, Stephen A. But I don't know. When I look at this Knicks team, I've said it all off season. I've said it all off season that it's NBA Finals or the season's a failure for the Knicks, and you've had the playoffs break your way so far, right? You took down the Hawks. You did not have to worry about the Celtics, right? And you took care of the Sixers in 4. And now, you get a Cleveland team who, has gone 7 2 times already, right? You're technically on fresher legs, but in the playoffs, that's not always the best thing, right? I do think when you look at New York, the biggest question mark is Karl Anthony Towns. What version of the Big Purr are you going to get? Right?
Big Purr.
Yeah, what are you going to do about the Big Purr when he's coming down the lane? But the problem is Cat is such a liability defensively that I think the Cleveland coaching staff is smart enough to exploit. Right now the Cavs are going on a run. They're doing some crazy stuff. The Knicks are pushing in transition and just not getting what they need and playing terrible. But I think when you look at the Knicks, it's just here comes a timeout from the Knicks. But it's just when you look at the Knicks, they're on paper built to go to the finals. They are built to beat the Celtics, who we all, prior to this to me was the best team in the East. And they lose in 7 and blow a 3-1 lead to the 76ers. So the question mark for me is Big Purr. My other question mark is what do you do if Jalen Brunson doesn't have it? I think that's a pretty fair question to ask because it's the same problem that Detroit had, but New York has a little bit of a better answer than Detroit did, which is who's the secondary scorer to Cade for Detroit and who's the secondary scorer for the Knicks? Is it Cat?
Well, the secondary
is it Bridges?
would...
Is it Hart? Is it OG? What I'm saying? And DJ, I'm going to give you the floor to Cleveland because, listen, I heard what you were saying about the depth. I see it. I don't want you to think I'm not seeing it. But your Cleveland Cavaliers haven't proven it in the last 5 years to be any good in these big moments. But they can always rewrite their story based on the empirical data that I have. And you
Well,
can
the
be
empirical
mad.
data
Listen,
is
look,
that
look at
just
me.
the
No, no,
fact
no, no.
that
No, look at me. I see your eyebrows starting to like scringe up a little bit. I see it. I see it. I could see it in your eyes that you're like, Jacob doesn't know ball. But DJ, I promise you, I know ball. The floor is yours.
he said, I promise. No, this matchup, you're gonna hate me for this comment, is just as even as the Spurs OKC matchup without the big name stars. They're not the two biggest stars in the league, right? Your matchup is Donovan Mitchell versus Jalen Brunson, right? Your matchup is going to be Evan Mobley versus Carl Anthony Towns, or even at this point, it could be even Jared Allen versus Carl Anthony Towns, and it's going to be James Harden versus Josh Hart or McCall Bridges, and can Sam Merrill hit the three, right? Which has helped this Cavalier team get through Detroit. Dean Wade. Like the matchups and the depth on both of these teams really is remarkable. The depth
Also,
in this playoff.
what a cruel name Dean Wade is.
D Wade.
Yeah,
That was strategic. They did that on purpose.
I know.
But the depth and the matchup is really good here, right? It's going to take the Knicks to hit the three ball to get in, just like it's going to take OKC to hit the three ball to get over the Spurs, right? That's the big difference right now. The starters for the Knicks are 5, 10, 15, 20, 3 for 20 from three, and 4 for 23 from three right now. That's horrible. 38% versus 20 or 17% versus 38% from three right now through halfway through the third quarter, right? It's just a Knicks team that has been, I don't want to say irrelevant because it's the Knicks, but you're also going against the Cavalier team who's a smaller market organization who doesn't have LeBron, right? They just don't take them seriously. It's not a lack of talent. It's not a lack of, hey, you've failed to get here in the past, and I don't trust you, Jacob, because that's been the Knicks story since the 90s. So I don't want to hear any of that bullshit that, oh, they haven't proved it. Neither of these teams have. Neither of them have.
But the Knicks have been to the Eastern Conference Finals.
So
More
what?
recent.
And they've lost.
You haven't
They've
even been
lost.
there. You haven't
They've
even been
lost.
there.
You're talking about one. It means nothing if you don't make the finals, Jacob. Making it to an Eastern Conference Finals means nothing. Means nothing if you don't make it through. Means nothing. So a Cavalier team who's added very small pieces to get over the hump. They lost. I believe they lost in the first round. I believe they lost in the first round 3 years ago. I believe they lost in the divisional round the year before that, and I think again last year. I think it was against the Magic. You may correct me if I'm wrong in that assumption. It could have been the Celtics as well. But, the Knicks have had a really easy path to this finals, right? They haven't been tested very well. Cleveland, right? The Raptors, I think, played a little bit better than anybody was expecting to in that series, right? They went against the 1 seed Pistons, right? I know, say what you want about that team being ahead of schedule, because they are, and I am in total agreement with you. But you can't deny the young talent that's there. You can't deny the defensive presence that they've had.
One
right?
seed for
and
a
then
reason.
Just the
Asser
overall
Thomas.
success. They're
Thomas.
the 1 seed. This isn't a 2 seed Detroit team who was going up, and the Celtics playing at their best. No, this is a Detroit team that's way ahead of schedule, and they took them to 7 and beat them in Game 7 in Detroit. So, yes, this Cleveland team has had a lot of losses without LeBron James being present in life. But this team and this matchup is very good. And the only person that this is going to inevitably come down to, in my opinion, this whole series is going to be James Harden. Is James Harden going to show up in the big moments? Because everybody else has tended to show up with. If Harden can hit the threes that he's meant to and can keep the ball from being turned over, which is proven time and time again to be a problem, Cleveland will win this series. And I believe that.
When I look at Cleveland, I want to say this. I've watched them. Yeah, I know. I'm a little ahead of you, but Sam Merrill has been a shining star for this team. Max Strus, go back to the low taper fade, buddy boy. But I think the biggest thing for Cleveland is like when they run the two big man set of Allen and Mobley, they out rebound everybody on the glass. And you get so many second chance opportunities with Mobley and Allen on the court. And I think you add in Sam Merrill, who's a sharpshooter. You can have Strauss come in and he could take some pressure off of Mitchell or Harden to get some more rest on them, right? You have some other bench pieces as well as I'm pulling up the box score here. Like you still have Dennis Schroeder who comes in at times, like Keon Ellis, right? And obviously we've talked about Dean Wade. Donovan Mitchell right now is having a great game. 22 points, 3 of 7 from 3, 9 of 14 from the field. And as I'm watching this game, it's the same thing the Knicks have tried to do. And it's the Brunson show, and then they like falter. And then it's like, okay, they put in Mitchell Robinson, but then he shoots 53% from free throw. And it's just like the starting five for the Knicks on paper is a better starting five than Cleveland. On paper, DJ.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that statement.
On paper. But the depth, and again, when I'm watching this Cleveland team, when they have Allen and Mobley on the floor, that is like your best superpowers when they are both on the floor. Because they defend the rim, they get rebounds on both sides of the glass, and they affect shots on defense. And Mobley's a stretch 4 when Allen's a little bit more of a true 5. So like you have to respect Mobley's game out on the wing, and if you don't, he may hit a 3 in your face. Obviously, you have Sam Merrill who is lighting it up, dude. Like I think he's perfect right now. 3
of 5. Or excuse me, 2 of 4.
2 of 4? It feels like way more than that.
Well, you have Dean Wade, the other white boy, shooting the lights out too. He's 2 of 4 as well.
Yeah, and it just like every time I watch Sam Merrill shoot, he just like drains like a very pure 3. And like I've just watched Cleveland. They tried to like New York's trying to double Harden. Harden pitches it to Schroeder, and it's a 2-on-1 in the paint dish to Allen.
Yep,
and they've tried that like 3 or 4 times now. I think Cleveland's
they
depth
just did it again too. That's 2 possessions in a row that they just did that same thing.
But here we go again. Here goes Jalen Brunson trying to force these shots as we're watching this game here, DJ. And I think, and again, if I had to pick, and I will say this: the Cleveland coach, very smart head coach. Like the fact that he went into the game against
Detroit in Game 7,
Detroit,
and attacked the one player that nobody knows yet because.
Kenny Atkinson, like Kenny Atkinson is been one of the more smart head coaches that I've seen of just knowing what he has in his lineup, knowing how to get the best out of it, but also knows like what he needs to do on the other side to make sure you don't give them the best opportunity. So right now it's Cleveland's dominating this game. I really want to go like New York in 6. I feel like New York can figure it out.
But you're watching this game and you're having doubts right now. You're watching it.
I know, but it's like when you talk through it, it's just like, man.
Like, how do you bet against the Cavs team?
Well, it's not even how do you bet against them. It's just like, does New York have the bodies to answer it? And I just don't know. I'm going to stick to my guns, and if we come back next week and I'm completely wrong, DJ, congrats, your team's in the NBA Finals, so we'll go with that. But I still see the Knicks finding ways to win 4 games here, in 6 or 7.
Wow.
If every game's like this one tonight, this series is over in 4.
Oh, I mean, yes. If it's like this in all the games. But, I mean, there's still a lot of basketball left even to play. And Cleveland, the fact that they're growing their lead in the third quarter right now, even though there's still 3.5 minutes left, but this is when they tend to start to let the foot off the gas and teams start to catch up. So I'm not going to just sit here and say that they're a winner of game 1.
Dude, Brunson is forcing all these shots, man.
Wow. What a shot. Evan Mobley. The down low presence for Cleveland is just too much. I see a whole lot more ability to stop the Knicks than I do the Knicks being able to shoot Cleveland. Cleveland is going to be the reason that they lose this series. And it's, again, I'm going to stick to my gun and be like, it's going to be James Harden winning or losing this series. Like, James Harden needs to be able to hit the 3 ball. He has been horrible about it this whole playoff run. He has too many turnovers, and everybody around him, right, has the ability to make up for that, which is his benefit and how Cleveland's made out in this series, but it's going to be James Harden winning and losing this series for the Cavs with how he performs. If he can stay middle of the road, Cleveland shouldn't have an issue, or not have an issue, but they will have a clear path, I think, to getting through the Knicks. I think the Cavs are too versatile. You could have a couple of 40-point games from Brunson, and they could turn it all around. But I think the lean on goodness, Sam Merrill is scorching hot. I can't bet against them. I'm gonna go. It's hard to go Cavs in anything less than 7 after the way that these series have gone, but I'm actually going to do it. You know what? I'm going to go Cavs in 6, Jacob. I'm going to go Cavs in 6. I think.
Also, I don't know why the Knicks keep doubling here because they just give up open shots to Cleveland on every possession to each third.
Oh my gosh. That's the worst free throw I've seen since Draymond Green went to the line.
Dude, it's bad, dude. I think he's like 53% on the year. He just throws it at the hoop.
Needs a little touch.
Yeah.
But I like the Cavs. I really like the Cavs, Jacob. And I honestly, and you might even hate me for this statement, but I think it's a better matchup in the finals for the Cavs and Spurs than it is the Knicks and the Spurs. I think publicity-wise, I think the Knicks and Spurs would be a tremendous series. But I think matchup-wise, I think you're going to get better games out of the Cavs. And again, the height, the two big man duo stretches out the box for Cleveland. So, but let's not get out too far ahead of ourselves here. I'm just throwing that out there, but I'm going Cavs in 6.
Let's jump over to the NHL. They're in the conference finals as well. We got Vegas and Colorado in the West, and you got Montreal surviving an absolute barn burner in Buffalo to go and face the Carolina Hurricanes, who have been – I don't think Carolina's played a hockey game in 12 days, DJ. So, yeah, they swept the Flyers and swept the Senators, so they haven't played in a while. And they just showed Mitchell Robinson's playoff career free throw average, and it's 39%. Oh, my God.
Worst in NBA history.
Worst in NBA history. Oh, my God. DJ, I'll talk about the NHL here. Feel free to jump in and ask any questions that you may have, of course. But I'll start in the West. Colorado and Vegas. I think you got the two best. I hate to say it. You got, as it shows and what I've watched, you got the two best teams in these playoffs, with the exception of what Carolina has done this postseason. But Colorado has been nothing short of sensational. And Vegas has done plenty to overcome what I think happens. I think Vegas gets bailed out with really good goaltending play from Carter Hart. I think they have really good forward depth and play with Eichel and Diaforev, who's played phenomenal. He's going to catch a bag in the open market next year. But Colorado, has just found ways to win the game. When the game 5 to close out the game against Minnesota, they had to come back from a 3-0 deficit. Nathan McKinnon snipes one over Wallstead. They win it in overtime. I think Colorado is such a team on a mission. That's why I picked them as my preseason favorite way back in October. I think my bias got a little bit of the better of me with my Dallas and Lightning pick, of course. But, there's a reason why I had Colorado as that. I felt like Nathan McKinnon was going to be on a mission. Cale Makar and Devon Taves has played phenomenal defense pair. And I think my only question mark was my question mark for Colorado at the beginning of the playoffs, which is what happens with goaltender play. And when one guy is faulty, the other guy comes in and shuts it down. And then Colorado has enough goal scoring power to come through and come back. I still think it's Wedgwood's net, but if Wedgwood's off on the night, they go to Blackwood and they leave I think it's great what Colorado's doing. I think Wedgwood has to command the net, claim that it's his, and not give it back up, because Vegas is going to get theirs. I think they just have to levy the storm in this game, in this series. But I am going to probably lean Colorado in 6. I think they steal one in Vegas, and I think that's where you'll see it kind of get the job done there. I really like this Vegas team, but I just hate the way they are, who they are, right? Torts isn't a great person. Carter Hart was involved in a crazy scandal as well way back with Team Canada that he was cleared up, but like people still don't like Carter Hart. Eichel, Carlson, Diaforev, Barbashev, we can name it. I just think it's going to be two heavyweights. I think this series is going to go deep, and I like Colorado to come out on top. I just think Colorado's ability to just like, man, Mitchell Robinson can't buy a free throw right now. I think their ability to just like figure it out, and it was very air apparent in that Minnesota series, I think is going to be a game changer for them.
Yeah, who do you think, like, I know you're picking the Avalanche, but based on just how these series have gone, who do you, like, give the edge coming off of their respective series to? Like, do the Avalanche have an advantage because they played less games? Do you just think the talent gap is too much for the Golden Knights to overcome? That's why you're kind of giving them the edge. What is kind of the bigger picture here?
I think it's rest. I think a little more rest for Colorado helps because they got some older guys on the team. So the more that they can kind of like stay and keep their legs fresh and not have to get hit so much, I think is really important. I also just think Colorado's depth is much better than I think Vegas is, and it's not by much, but the way I look at it for
what a late.
I'm trying to pull up a little preview here.
There's a foul on Mitchell.
Little preview here. It's been
sorry, excuse me in my animation.
No, you're fine. When I'm looking at this team, it's just like Dorofor Fayev has been really hot. Mitch Marner, I think, is the complete X factor for the Golden Knights because he came into Toronto and like was supposed to be this kind of like the Powell to Kobe to like Austin Matthews. And like the Toronto media, I think, was just too much for Marner to handle mentally. So now he goes to Vegas and just lights it up. And he is having an incredible playoff offensively. And if you get that Marner who just takes over some games, I don't know if Colorado has an answer for a Mitch Marner going off. So I think Mitch Marner is probably the biggest X factor for both teams. Just because if he has multiple points, he gets hot, he gets some goals. I think it's gonna be sensational. But Colorado, you want to talk about, they're very similar to Cleveland. Anyone can score. Anyone can go off. Anyone can get you the game winning. I think they had if I'm correct, they had 17 different players score in these playoffs alone. So it's pretty impressive. And Nathan McKinnon is still playing at an impenetrable. But I'm leaning Colorado in 6 because I just feel the mentality that Colorado is very much like, we need to be back in the Cup final, and I think this is their opportunity.
Yeah, and then you have another series here, Jacob. That went very much back and forth in the Canadian Sabres. Obviously, went to 7 games. Again, the definition of back and forth, as in Sabres, Canadians, it was literally just, I don't think any one of these teams won back-to-back games. Canadians won back-to-back 2 and 3. But this team is very hot coming into, I think, this game 7, or coming into the series with the Carolina Hurricanes. Do you think that the Canadians have an advantage coming off of a 7-game series, which I know hockey is very physical, right? And that rest is valuable. But you mentioned before that the Hurricanes haven't played a game, and you said, 12 days, right?
Yeah.
Who do you think has an advantage here based on how the series ended? Do you think the Hurricanes are going to be hurt more by their time off, or do you think the Canadians are going to be a little bit more ready because they're just in motion?
I think, it's hard to put this into words, but the rest for Carolina I don't think is as big of a deal. I think it helps their goalie, Freddie Anderson, who's a much older goalie. But Montreal just has this feeling about them that they find these uncanny ways to win. And it's not sexy and it's never pretty. They get outplayed, they get dominated. But you know what they have that other teams don't right now? I mean, they all have it, but it's this rookie goalie who is just putting this team a little bit on their back and keeping them in these games to just give them opportunity after opportunity, DJ. In the game against Tampa Bay in Game 7, Dubas faced, I think, 20 shots. Vasilevsky only saw 9, and he gave up 2, and that was the game. And Dobes went up against Lehkonen, for Buffalo, and he had to stop, I think, 38 shots. And he gave his team a chance. And they got dominated in that game 7 in the last 2.5 periods. They just got dominated by Buffalo. So when I'm looking at it, DJ, from these guys, like Montreal just has this feeling that they just have something special going on. They just have something special, and it's this goalie leading the charge. I think Carolina has an opportunity to snuff it out. But Carolina, when they get to these moments, fail. They don't, like, they've done it the last 3 out of 4 seasons where they get to the Eastern Conference Finals and they get, like, swept. Like, DJ, like, they dominate and then they get swept, DJ. So it's like.
Do you think the Hurricanes could come to a screeching halt?
Yeah, it's very possible. So I'm interested to see what happens with Carolina. I'm very interested to see where they go. They have the speed. The thing about Carolina that I think is going to give Montreal fits is that their forecheck is suffocating. It's the equivalent of being face guarded in basketball. It's the equivalent of, Myles Garrett coming off the edge or TJ Watt. Like, you feel this just gnat in your face. And that's what Carolina does. They're pesky. They hit hard. They get after pucks. They get clean shots. The power play's electric. Montreal is really, really, really good. It just depends on which version of Dubes do you get or Dobes. And I hate to say it, I'm going to probably pick Montreal in 7 because I just think the goal, like, there's so many things you can point to, DJ, of a rookie goalie getting hot. St. Louis Blues 2019 is a clear-cut example of that, right? Blues were dead in the water. We bring up the rookie goalie, and then we make the playoffs, DJ, and we go and take down the Sharks, we take down the Bruins, we take down the Blackhawks, and I also think we took down Winnipeg. No, we took down Winnipeg, Dallas, San Jose, Boston, and again, the Dallas Stars Game 7 series, we're not in that if it's not for Binnington. The Game 7 against the Bruins, we're not in that game if it's not for Binnington doing what he does. And I think Dobes is giving me flashbacks of, like, this is a guy who just finds ways to just save the puck. And the Canadians rile off of that, and they just find these uncanny guys to score, and it's not even their best players. And I just think Montreal just has the vibe about them that they're going to win this series in 7. So that's my pick.
I think it's a bold take, especially with the roll. I mean, I hate sticking my hand in hot butter, Jacob, because Carolina's melting people right now. But
they are. They're eviscerating people.
Where do you think that? What game do you think is, like, the most important here? Do you think that Game 1 is going to be the most important to come off of? Like, 2. Where do you think somebody hits a halt?
I think it's Game 2. I think because Game 1, you can chalk it up to Montreal gets a little bit hot. They just have been playing. They're just on this constant roll.
Right.
Versus Carolina hasn't played in 12 days, so I think you got to shake off some of the rust. So if Carolina loses Game 1, I'm not panicking. But if Carolina loses both games at home with that home ice that Carolina has, and you have to go to Montreal, I don't see a path for you to win 4 games, i.e. to steal 2 in Montreal at that point. Because you got to play 3 home games in Montreal after losing 2 at home. I just don't see that path for them, given what Montreal has been able to do. But if it goes to Game 7, all bets are off. But I think Game 2 is probably the most pivotal, because if you go down to either team goes down 2-0, it's a hard way to go back. Because on the flip side, if Montreal goes down 2-0, you got to win. Again, you got to win 4 games, but like, you're going to have to probably win 2 of them in Carolina. Or you got to steal a game in Carolina at some point. And no one's beaten Carolina in these playoffs yet. So hard to do. But I'm riding Canadiens in 7.
Okay.
Well, DJ, anything else crazy going on? We got college baseball happening. We got softball supers happening this weekend. Softball super regionals. Love when we get to Oklahoma City. But softball is one of those sports where it's like, it's not, I love watching it, but it's so like the big dogs are the big dogs. Texas, Oklahoma, Texas Tech even. Like, they're a big dog for a reason, and it's like they just dominate. But we got conference championships happening this weekend. So got a lot of good stuff, DJ, happening in sports right now. So without further ado, has been the delightful DJ McCatherine. I have been your co-host, Jake Pearl. Like, comment, share, subscribe on all platforms. Catch you on the next one. We have been to deal with D and J.